All right, good afternoon all, and thank you for joining me today to listen to a relatively brief overview of the Coral Expeditions cruise series focused on the Barrier Reef, Cape York and the islands of the Torres Strait. Apologies for the short delay in kind of coming live to you. The obligatory tech issues. We're lucky enough to have one of our kind of expedition team joining us deep into the Coral Sea at the moment, which has caused a few delays with the old technology, basically. So apologies for that. My name is Will. I'm a member of the Coral Expeditions sales team. And like I say, joining us today, we're lucky to have Katie Cheesley speaking to us live from one of our citizen science expeditions out in the Coral Sea. And she will hopefully be providing her unique commentary on some of the main highlights across this expedition cruise series, and is the perfect embodiment of a Coral Expeditions kind of onboard team member. And I'll introduce you to her shortly. If you've got any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to pop these into the chat function on your computer. And between Katie and myself, we'll attempt to answer as many as we can, time permitting, at the end of the presentation. We've got 3 really beautiful itineraries to cover today. I do try and stick to our scheduled 45-minute timescales, and between Katie and myself, we'll try and cover the main highlights and excursions, but it certainly won't be an exhaustive delve into each specific itinerary. However, our website contains a wealth of information with maps, images, ship layouts, and full detailed day-by-day itineraries. And so feel free to peruse to your heart's content. And obviously, please reach out to us today or speak to our genuinely excellent service team based up at our Cairns head office. And we're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's get into it. Coral Expeditions, for those of you not aware, is Australia's pioneering expedition cruise operator, sailing for 40 years now. And we've got a fleet of 3 very specialised expedition ships and tenders, and they take guests to some of the most beautiful yet undiscovered islands and coastal regions of the world. Our travellers are attracted by our relaxed small ship atmosphere and itineraries that larger ships simply cannot replicate. And at a time when the cruise industry is moving to larger and larger and less personal ships, we've limited the size of our vessels to maximise that kind of true expedition experience. We are also the first to offer interpretive programs reflective of the destinations we visit, and to employ expedition leaders, guest lecturers, marine biologists, and scuba instructors. And it's a tradition that continues today. So for those of you who have cruised with Coral Expeditions previously, be that in our kind of backyard of the Kimberley or beyond, you're going to be more than aware of the style of expedition product we offer, both on board, but also whilst exploring the stunning destinations we visit. As mentioned, we've been in business now for 40 years. And for those 40 years, we've had been taking groups of like-minded explorers to remote destinations with expert guidance and that warm, relaxed style of Australian hospitality. For those new to Coral Expeditions, it's worth stating right away that if you're looking for that big ship experience with multiple bars and restaurants, nightclubs, casinos, white-jacketed waiters, then the Coral Expedition product is probably not what you're looking for. Instead, we offer an informal, relaxed onboard experience with no need to dress formally for dinner. There's no assigned seating and no formal onboard entertainment outside our schedule of lectures and presentations from our guest lecturer and expedition leader team, and obviously specific to the waters in which you cruise. We actively encourage an open interaction between guests and crew, and our open bridge policy allows regular interactions with the captain. And there's plenty of both in and outdoor areas to relax and enjoy the stunning scenery drift by, usually, I must say, with a cheeky glass of wine or G&T in hand. The onboard experience is at its core built around 2 main areas: the delicious culinary and wine experience, and the schedule of guest lectures and presentations from our onboard experts. The aim being that you can fully immerse yourselves in the flora, fauna, history, geology, and cultures of the places that we visit, whilst also enjoying some of the best food and wine that Australia has to offer. The whole ethos of the company is to focus on the stunning destinations we visit rather than the ship itself, and that's a very different prospect from some of the big ship cruise lines out there. We offer a minimum of 2 shore excursions daily and utilize our trademark and unique explorer tenders, which I'll come on to shortly, to ensure your time is maximized ashore, or like with the Barrier Reef, out in the open water. We've got no waiting or queuing. And our guests can enjoy anything from a strenuous walk or hike to a site of interest or viewpoint, through to a gentler beach comb or exploration of the area. In suitable locations, we also offer the choice of staying aboard our explorer tenders to cruise through the bays, creeks, rivers and coastlines for those not inclined to head ashore. The point being that we offer a range of excursion opportunities to fit all fitness requirements and specific areas of interest. And again, all shore excursions are accompanied by our expert expedition team. We do not outsource to third parties, meaning we can guarantee the quality of the ashore and onboard expedition experience. So Coral, as mentioned, one of the first cruise operators to employ interpretive guides on our cruises. And each of our trips, be that here in the Barrier Reef and beyond, includes a mix of our full-time guest lecturers who join the expedition team, and special guest lecturers who are chosen for their specific local knowledge and expertise. And we run a full schedule of lectures and presentations, again, specific to the areas in which we cruise. Your cruise will be led by a dedicated expedition leader and expedition team, of which Katie here today is part of. And they'll work closely with the captain to determine our daily programme, ensuring that the best use is made of prevailing weather and tidal conditions. Your expedition leader will join all shore excursions and at-sea excursions here in the Barrier Reef and activities, provide daily recaps and briefings, and is always on hand to answer any questions you may have. The expedition team use our ship's shallow draft, quick disembarkation capabilities, which I'll come on to shortly, the special tender equipment such as the Explorers and Zodiacs, and the open deck spaces to take you up close to the kind of remote places that we visit. So now we move on to easily one of the most important facets of any coral expedition cruise, our unique Explorer tenders that you can see here on the screen. Our Explorers have been, purpose designed and built by Coral to provide the perfect conduit between our ships and the remote regions we visit, be that here on the GBR, but on all our domestic and international itineraries. And it's something that no other cruise line, domestic or international, can offer. They're incredibly easy to board directly from the deck with no steps or ladders to contend with before being gently lowered into the water. And they provide comfortable padded seating, a full audio system to assist our guides in sharing their commentary. A canopy overhead protects you from the sun, absolutely crucial in places like the Barrier Reef and the Kimberley, where we sail in, predominantly tropical waters. And there's a toilet on board for remote convenience. This might not sound like a big deal, but it's crucial to avoid having to constantly head back to the mothership, and potentially avoids the need to find a suitable bush or have a quick dip in the ocean. In short, the Explorers allow us to deliver a true expedition product. They allow easy access not only to beach and harbour landings, but provide the perfect option for exploring the bays, rivers and coastlines, as well as doubling up and particularly applicable in this kind of Barrier Reef cruise series. They allow us or double up as an absolutely excellent scuba and snorkel platform. And they allow us to on and off board our entire ship's complement in under 15 minutes, which again means more time spent enjoying the areas that you've paid, a considerable amount of money to experience. They're equipped with 2 powerful engines, can reach up to 20 knots in speed, and they allow us to cover large distances in far more comfort than the Zodiacs or Tinnies utilised by other cruise lines. My final point on these Explorers, I've had the benefit of heading into the Kimberley, Zodiacs, which I'll come on to shortly, and we also use, after the first 45 minutes sitting in the baking tropical sun with absolutely no back support, the experience starts to get tarnished a little bit. But that being said, we utilize the more traditional Zodiac inflatables when required. And it's up to our guests to feel how adventurous, or not, that they want to be. But utilized in conjunction with the Explorers, we can offer that true expedition experience that Coral are known for providing. So moving on to the ship, we've got 3 ships, expedition ships in the Coral Fleet. For the Great Barrier Reef and Cape York itineraries, we're going to be cruising aboard Coral Discoverer. She's our smaller expedition vessel. We call it kind of like a yacht-like vessel, and it's designed to take you to destinations that are genuinely inaccessible to larger vessels. Her shallow draft and high maneuverability make her highly versatile, and she's the perfect vessel to explore the remote coastlines of Northern Australia. She boasts ocean views from all public spaces. All of our staterooms are outward facing, some with private balconies, and state-of-the-art tools for exploration, including aforementioned Explorer tenders, Zodiacs and kayaks, and her Explorer bar and adjacent sun deck lounge have 360-degree views and are much-loved features. She carries only 72 passengers, so she offers that kind of intimate expedition experience that larger ships simply cannot replicate. So moving on to the crux of the presentation, I'm introducing you to Katie Cheesley today. She is one of our kind of expedition team. She's on board Coral Discoverer, I believe, at the moment, deep in the Coral Sea, hence a few little tech issues getting her online prior to this presentation. I don't think she can actually see our presentation, guys, so bear with us as we walk through this preso, but she's going to provide a little bit of kind of more detailed insight into the areas that she's highly experienced in. So welcome, Katie. Thank you very much for joining us. Please feel free to give yourself a bit of a brief intro, and then we'll move on to our first kind of highlighted itinerary.
Yeah, no worries. Hello, I'm Katie. So I'm an expedition crew here at Coral Expeditions. Currently out at the Coral Sea at the moment at Diamond Islands. So we're on a Great Barrier Reef trip at the moment. I'm a master reef guide, so I work with Grandpa, and love being a tour guide and love guests, and can't wait for you guys to join on one of our future trips.
Awesome. Look, thank you, Katie. I really appreciate that. Look, without further ado, we're going to move on to our first kind of featured itinerary today. The Alternate Adventures on the Great Barrier Reef. It departs, it's 7 nights, cairns to cairns, with multiple departures each year throughout November. And look, we pioneered expedition cruising on the outer reaches of the Barrier Reef, over 35 years or so ago now, and have forged a reputation for excellence and expertise in that time. Aboard Coral Discoverer, you get to join us as we embark on this immersive 7-day adventure to the remote and untouched northern reefs. We can explore the hidden corners, the uninhabited sand cays, small islands, pristine reef systems, and along the way you'll experience the kind of freedom and solitude amidst this iconic seascape that everybody in Australia is obviously more than aware of. You get to share the journey with the plethora of marine and seabird life. You get to swim, dive and snorkel at far-flung osprey and ribbon reefs, amongst others. You'll learn about ancient indigenous cultures and the more modern Australian heritage at historic Cooktown. You get a bit of land-based adventures as well, so you stretch your legs with a hike to the summit of Cook's Look above Cooktown. Get to enjoy a sundowner with the sand beneath your toes, and as the sun sets at deserted Sudbury Cay. And on board, you're going to be accompanied by expert guides, including a marine biologist, and our purpose-designed small ships that are built for custom expedition cruising. So without further ado, Cooktown, Katie, give us a bit of an overview of Cooktown and what we do there.
Oh, Cooktown's such an amazing place. So we get there and we get greeted by a local bus tour company, and it's always the same 2 guys, and I've met them several times, and they're both just so funny and knowledgeable of Cooktown. So they take us around, and we go to the lookout, and then we go to the botanical gardens, and we go to the Cooktown Museum, which has got a lot of history on James Cook. And then, we go and look at the railway, and then you get a bit of free time in town. If you like as well, you can just do your own free day and make your own way around town and do your thing. But it is pretty cool to go on the bus trip because they really know what they're talking about and make it very interesting. And the botanical gardens are beautiful as well. I love it. You can go and collect mangoes there, which is pretty fun.
Thank you very much. And moving on. So look, this I put this slide in. It's a very generic. It's a big groper. I forget the pronunciation. And I put this slide in there just to really highlight that, you know, as the name suggests, the Great Barrier Reef is kind of focused around the kind of marine-based activities. We've got a slide of Osprey Reef coming up, Katie, but can you just give us a bit of an overview of, you know, getting wet, getting into the water, you know, snorkeling, you know, diving, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, so well, there's a lot of snorkeling and diving on this trip if you want to do that. We do offer other things to do as well, plus like all the guest lecturers and other things that you can learn on board. But getting in the water is ideally what you want to do when you come on these trips. And a lot of people do think maybe when they come out that they might not want to get in the water and snorkel, but normally by the end, every single one are in the water because we show you that it's safe as well. So normally myself or somebody else will at least be in there with a ring. And if you're not confident, then you can come with me and I'll make sure you're safe. And you just pretty much have, and then, yeah, I'll look after you and, yeah, teach you a bit about what we're seeing underwater. And, yeah, just make sure you're having a good time out there because that's the point. And, yeah, we go to some beautiful places and the coral's just insane. And then, yeah, it's a lot of recovery in the last few years as well. So some of the reefs are just looking really beautiful right now. And yeah, so lots of fish, sometimes turtles, sharks. And I know sometimes, you know, I say sharks, but they're only little reef sharks. So you don't have to worry about them. That's pretty much a real highlight to actually swim with the sharks. And then I think you probably see behind me, there's probably the odd seabird going by. We're surrounded in boobies and frigate birds, noddies at the moment. So we've even got the red-footed boobies out the back at the moment. So yeah, we get to see all these things out the reef.
And look, that it segues quite nicely. So whilst you guys listening in today, you know, you can pop your questions into the chat function. You also had the opportunity to kind of submit questions prior to the presentation going live. And one of them, Katie, that segues quite nicely into this particular slide was a lady, I think it was a lady that has basically said, paraphrasing, that her and her husband, they're not particularly great swimmers. Is there any kind of support, for lack of a better terminology, in terms of floaties or life jackets to enable them to kind of, you know, comfortably get into the water and enjoy those kind of water-based activities?
Yeah, of course. So we normally try to start off so it's nice and easy. So you go from a coral cay or from Fitzroy Island, and then a lot of the locations go straight off a beach as well. So you don't have to just go live off the back of a ship, but also off the Explorer. But yeah, we've also got a ring that I tow around, so you can come with me and you just hold on and I just keep a real eye on you. So make sure you're safe and happy. But also we've got pool noodles, life jackets, and we've got lookout everywhere. So we've got people with eyes on the water and eyes on you at all times. So you're really, really quite safe. And like I said, you might come out and you're not too sure at the start, but after a day, I'm sure you'll see that you're in very good hands and we're going to look after you out there and make sure you're having a good time.
Excellent. Look, thank you for that one. So moving on. So again, look, this is just another kind of generic photo. It's of our Explorer, you know, kind of moored over this kind of coral bommy, I think they're called, with a bit of snorkeling action going on. And I put this one in, guys, really just to show how great the Explorer tenders are. That they're great for, you know, beach and harbour landings, but they double up as a perfect kind of scuba and snorkel platform. So can you just give us a bit of an overview, Katie, of the I suppose the benefits of the Explorers when it comes to those marine activities? And with another question that was kind of, I think, from the same lady, was you know, how easy are they to, I suppose, get back on board after you've been scuba diving, snorkeling, swimming?
Yeah, so we've got we will have a mermaid line out the back as well, so a big rope that goes out the back into floating rope, so you can hold on to that and pull yourself in. We've also got a ladder on the back, so that makes it super easy to get in and out. And there's always going to be one of us on the back deck, so you can just pass your fins and your pool noodle or whatever you want up to us, and we'll take them. And then you just get out on the ladder, and the ladder's got handles as well, so it's nice and easy to get yourself out, and it's in the water, so that gives you a real good advantage to get yourself like sorted on the ladder. You're floating in the water still, you can easily pull yourself up, and then we're there to assist you if you need any help as well. So it's very easy, and I've seen everyone's been able to do it because it's quite a well-made boat for that.
Well, good. And look, whilst we're on the kind of snorkeling subject, Katie, I've just had another question pop through about, and I get asked this every time I talk about the Barrier Reef, but stingers. I'll let you kind of expand on what you recommend in terms of clothing, that I suppose the seasons, you're far more qualified than me to talk about that.
Yeah, so the stinger seasons, for the ones in March, it should be coming to the end of stinger season. We go pretty far out, but when we're around the islands, I would recommend bringing a stinger suit just because it keeps you safe and it also has really good sun protection. And you also look so good in them, so why wouldn't you want to wear one? So yeah, make sure you get one of them. You can just also wear like a rashie or some long pants. I've got my little Coral Bay turquoise reef pants on that I wear, or you can just wear leggings or whatever you feel. So that keeps your respiratory system safe as well, because if you do get stung, that's the worst part. So that'll keep that covered, and then you shouldn't get stung by anything. So just make sure you either grab a stinger suit while you're on land. You might be able to find like a really cool looking funky one that might suit you. We've got a couple of people on board right now and they've got matching blue ones. So we do sell them on board, but yeah, if you got plenty of time, you should probably maybe just go grab one yourself on land.
Fantastic, thank you. And so moving on. So look, I've just got a slide here that I could put in again because it's not all marine-based kind of activities. We've got some lovely kind of sundowner drinks on the various different sand cays, Katie, like Sudbury Cay, I think I mentioned earlier. So give us a bit of an overview of what our kind of guests can expect on these kind of beautiful sandbanks, I suppose.
Oh yeah, so we got lots of nice fun things that we do at night too. So when you first get on board, the first or second night we'll have captain's drinks. So he shouts that round. So that's a nice one, and we will get up there and join you. We've also got beach drinks that we do. So we'll take you to a nice little island somewhere and set up some chairs and some canapes and drinks, and it's so beautiful. It's always a crowd pleaser to do that. We also do like games nights and other things like that. So and trivia. Yeah, if whatever we feel like doing at the time. Barbecue night on the top deck, that's another crowd pleaser. And we always do them every trip. So they're really, really fun to do. And it's something different to just every single night we do like sunset drinks. So you can go up and just enjoy the day and talk to everybody, see how the day went. We'll come up and we'll go through a little overview of the day. And so then you can all get to know each other and get to know us. So we come and make it a special time for you.
All good, thank you, Katie. And then now on to Fitzroy Island. So you've got a bit of a choice here. You know, it's relaxation and beach and water time, or you've got the option of putting a bit of your joggers on and heading up to a couple of viewpoints. So can you expand a little bit on Fitzroy?
Oh, Fitzroy is just one of my favorite, most beautiful places, and we were there a few days ago. But I just love all the hills around Fitzroy and the views. And we've got the summit walk that you can do, and it also goes past the lighthouse. And it's quite a physical walk, but it's well worth it. Once you get up to the top, I promise you'll love me for telling you to try and do it, because it's so worth it once you get up the end. And it's got like easy to follow footpaths, and we'll have one of us at the front, one of us at the back. So we'll come with you. We carry all like supplies and stuff like that. And we also, after the walk, we bring you breakfast on the beach. So you can have a well-earned swim after that walk. And then you can have some brekkie on the beach as well, and then go for your snorkeling. And you don't miss out on anything if you go for the walks, because we do them early before the sun gets too hot, so that we make it nice and good time for you to do that.
And with the beach time at Fitzroy, Katie, is it snorkeling options like direct off the beach and just a bit of downtime there?
Yeah, so on Fitzroy you can just if we can, we'll take some kayaks over. Normally on Fitzroy or Lizard, we'll take kayaks, so you can just go for a little double kayak or a single kayak. We've also got swimming, snorkeling. And at Fitzroy, one of the coolest things that I love is the Turtle Rehabilitation Centre. So everyone just puts their name down, and you can all go and see some of the turtles that they've got in the little turtle hospital there, and learn heaps about turtles as well. Even I figure I'm a turtle expert. It's my favorite thing that I've studied, and I've worked a lot with turtles. But the other day I even learned that they slow their heart rate down to 1 beat per 9 minutes when they sleep, because I know they can sleep for up to 7 hours, but I didn't know that was the heart rate. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm always learning something new as well. So yeah, it's really good to go and have a look at that.
Well, you can save your turtle commentary for coming up in the old citizen science itinerary that's coming up shortly. So moving on to our next itinerary, basically. It's the Torres Strait and Cape York and the Torres Strait. We've got two departures in October 2024 from both Cairns and Horn Islands. So the itinerary is exactly the same, just in reverse order. And it's a 10-night intimate expedition that takes in small islands, and reefs of the Northern Barrier Reef, Cape York coastal walks, and the beauty of our rarely seen Torres Strait Islands. With almost 300, I think, islands dotted across a narrow stretch of water between Cape York and PNG. The people of the Torres Strait have a really distinct and vibrant culture. And expedition by small ship is by far and away the best way to access these remote regions. Again, you get to visit uninhabited sand caves like one of the previous photos and enjoy your sundowner drinks, remote islands and genuinely pristine reef systems. And again, our expert guides like Katie are going to share their knowledge both above and below the water. And again, with decades of experience and deep respect for the communities of the region that we visit, Coral Expeditions are going to facilitate, a lovely journey, accompanied and hosted by local elders who will share, the customs and stories of their, this ancient land. So moving swiftly on to some of the highlights. Again, Cooktown. We don't probably have to kind of go over Cooktown too much. It's a very, very similar experience as the one that Katie just mentioned to you as part of our kind of classic 7-night Great Barrier Reef expedition. You've got options to kind of have free time up to the viewpoint, which is on the top left-hand side of your screen there. Visit the Captain Cook Museum and the kind of Australian heritage of the area there before moving on. And then Lizard Island. Look, I'm going to hand swiftly over to Katie. I know it's an absolute favourite of many people on the Barrier Reef. So look, Lizard Island, Katie, over to you.
Yeah, Lizard Island's another favourite. We just went there the last couple of days as well. And we actually went snorkeled at North Point this time. I did that like 2 years ago and we didn't do it last year, but we just went and did it again. And I think it's definitely going to be on the agenda from now on, because I went out and I did a recce with one of the drivers and I just jumped in and couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't want to get out. But yeah, the coral was just like, we've got all these citizen science people on this trip right now. And we got in the water. I'm like screaming. I was like, oh my gosh, this coral is like almost 100% coral cover. And as soon as I jumped in, there was like a white tip reef shark. There was a male Mary wrasse swimming and it was just fish everywhere. And just the coral was just like, whoa, it was so nice. And then we found another cay just past. I'm gonna have to try and say that word. It was like some other cay that's on that island. So it was beautiful, but I can't even find it. So yeah, but it's just around the corner basically. And yeah, again, like it was, you can walk to the cay and just walk along there, and then just coral, just beautiful everywhere. And yeah, even just on Lizard Island, like we've got Cook's Look as well, so you can go up and do that walk. That's a little bit more challenging than the Fitzroy one, just because there are some little rock faces and stuff like that. Like you do need decent fitness for that. So, but we've also got other walks that we can do both on Fitzroy. There's the rainforest walk as well, but also on Lizard, we've got the Blue Lagoon walk, or you can just do a little tiny bit of a walk on a walkway that they've built there, or you can just do beach combing. But yeah, Lizard again, we bring out the kayaks and really cool snorkeling. We've got the clam gardens, lots and lots of clams. But the other day when I went there, I saw an octopus, I saw turtles, sharks. Yeah, and then when we go to the clam gardens in the afternoon, we normally do that one. On the way out, there's all this seagrass field, and so there are turtles everywhere. So I was just filming like 3 turtles at the same time the other day, and they're just munching away on seagrass, and they don't care about you at all. They're just doing their thing, eating, and then you can just get right up and close and swim with a turtle.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. And look, Lizard Islands, I haven't been yet. It's very high on my to-do list. The only kind of comments I'll make on this particular slide, guys, is the bottom left-hand photo, and it shows one of our explorer tenders and their ability for both wet and dry beach landings. So the explorers have got kind of like a landing craft drop down front ramp, so they can just pull up onto the beach basically, and you can just amble off the front of them, and they're just perfectly designed to access these kind of islands, atolls and sand cays that don't have those kind of full harbour facilities. But look, moving on, So look, Osprey Reef. Before I hand over to Katie, I'm a keen scuba diver myself. I've done quite a bit of diving, probably not as much as Katie, on the Barrier Reef, and it was admittedly a few years or so ago, pre-COVID. But Osprey Reef, I've been lucky enough to dive in the Red Sea, in the Maldives, in various places around the world, and Osprey Reef for me has been the absolute pinnacle. I'll hand over to you now, Katie, but just give us an example of what the options that we have here.
Yeah, so in Osprey and the Ribbons we go, so you have to go off the back of the Explorer, but like I said, that we do a lot of from the beach first, and then get you ready to go off the back of the Explorer, and everybody does it because like I said, we make sure you're safe and you'll trust us. So yeah, normally I'll be in there, so I can come with you if you like, or you can just go do your own little swim. And we set up areas and we've got rest stations, and then it's the visibility out in those areas, and where we are now in the Coral Sea are just incredible. It's just the best visibility, just goes forever. Like sometimes I jump off the boat and they're like, how what's the viz, and I'm like, it's like as far as you can see. It's just crazy because there's no poor water quality that gets out that far. So it's just amazing. And the fish life and coral, we've got different sites that we go to, so they're all different, and some are really good for divers with like swim throughs and little caves and stuff, and then others are really good for snorkelers, and all sites are amazing.
And this again, why just using Osprey Reef as an example, I've done it back many years ago in my backpacking days, did the obligatory day trips, off Cairns, where they just dump you into the water at these, highly overpopulated with tourists reefs. And that's why we don't go to those reefs. We're focusing on those kind of outer reaches of the Barrier Reef, where those day trippers don't visit, don't damage the coral. And Osprey Reef, like I say, it for me was the pinnacle of snorkeling and scuba diving. So moving on, so Stanley Island, which is one of the kind of wider Flinders group of islands, and Davy Reef. So Katie, over to you. Give us a bit of an overview of what we do at Stanley and what we do in the water over at Davy.
Yeah, so Stanley's beautiful. It's got lots of really lovely sites that you can see there. So we go on a bit of a trek up to an art platform. So we got some Aboriginal art up there, and it's contact art. So you can kind of really picture what they were thinking when it might have been one of the first times they ever saw the sailors and stuff like that. So they paint, contact art is kind of when they paint ships and people and dogs and cats and stuff like that. So it might have been one of the first times I ever saw something like that. So yeah, it's really interesting art. And then we go down to the beach and get picked up down there. It's a nice beach. And then Davy Cay is somewhere I remember as being so amazing. Like we went there and there's hermit crabs everywhere. The really nice crystal blue waters. And then it's just a gorgeous cay. Lots of birds that just stay on the island there. And then the snorkeling and diving was really, really something that I remembered being beautiful, just straight off a cay. So yeah, you don't have to go far to see a fish there.
Thank you very much. And then moving on, so Forbes Island.
Yep. Yeah, Forbes Island, that was really nice. It was very sandy beaches. There's coconut trees. We saw sharks and turtles there. You can snorkel or just go for a swim. Lots of wildlife there because barely any humans ever go there. So it's it's very full of lush wildlife. So, untouched. Very nice.
Yeah, and look, what I'll add to kind of Katie's commentary there, because I've got a particular interest, is again, it's a true expedition, so it really depends on the I suppose the tidal conditions. But we get a chance to visit really remote Piper Islands for potentially some bird watching there and beach combing. Or the other option is which is my personal preferred, is to kind of visit the island home of some of you may recognise the name David Glasheen on Restoration Island. He was what the press have called the $1 million castaway. Released a book a few years or so ago. He lost all his money, I think, back in the 80s in the stock market crash, and kind of isolated himself on Resto Island. And if you get the chance to meet him there, he's apparently a fantastic kind of raconteur and storyteller. And incidentally, Restoration is where Captain Bligh, infamous for the mutiny on the Bounty, made his first landfall after the long ocean crossing from Tonga. So thank you, Katie. So moving on and coming up to the end of our trip, Cape York and the top end. I probably don't need to tell anybody listening in today, about Cape York and the top end. It's kind of like a bucket list kind of location for any Australian. So over to you, Katie. What do we do up at Cape York?
So up there we go for a little drive around. So we'll go to the historical Somerset and Possession Island, and then we go to Albany Island as well. Albany Island has a nice little resort there. And yeah, we went there and we just, there's a pool and you can just chill out on the beach, or you can go up there and they got a cafe and a bar. There's some little walks that you can do. I can't remember. It was a long time I went there, but I think we had little wallabies. Yeah, and the snorkeling there is amazing. It's just a really beautiful place. Like to get photos and everything like that, it's just amazing there. And of course, seeing the tip of Australia is definitely a bucket list experience. And we take drinks there. We normally go for sunset. And so we will take a few drinks for you, some canapes, and you can just enjoy standing at the most northern place in Australia over a sunset and just, enjoying sipping on a champagne while you take in that moment in life.
And look, that's all I was going to add as well, Katie, is that, we try and time it to get to this kind of iconic, tip of Australia. You can see the top right-hand corner and the old official sign, the old northernmost point of mainland Australia. And we try and time it, for sunset, so we can have that kind of classic sundowner drinks and a few nibbles experience before heading back to the mothership for a lovely dinner. So moving on. So and now, after leaving Cape York, we're moving into the Torres Strait now, basically, and we visit a couple of islands. So Thursday Island up on the screen, and then by Badu Island just north of Thursday. So Katie, give us a little bit of commentary, if you can, around these two.
Well, I actually didn't go to these ones yet, so this is hopefully something that I'll be on. But there are about 200 islands there, 17 are inhabited. And a lot of historical and cultural sites from the Japanese pearl divers, memorials and art galleries. You can purchase art of these places, lots of cultural dances and stuff like that. But I've not actually been, but I have seen trip reports, and I'm very keen to get to see that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and what I'll add to that really is that, so this is, where we kind of really immerse ourselves in this kind of very unique Torres Strait kind of indigenous cultures. Katie touched on it. They're particularly good art regions as well. So if any of you have an interest in local, genuine indigenous art direct from the producers, so to speak, it's going to be kind of your dream trip. It used to be an old kind of pearling area, so there's a lot of pearling history, and like I say, the renowned art centre on Badu Island. So again, as you can see from the photo, there's a bit of time to enjoy a bit of beachcombing, a bit of downtime, but it's a real focus on those kind of Torres Strait indigenous cultures and the epic scenery of the Torres Strait, basically. So moving rapidly on, because I know that we are fast approaching our 45-minute window, guys, so I apologise. And our third itinerary that we're going to be focusing on today, and it's our third unique citizen science. So we partner with Australian Geographic, basically. It's our third citizen science themed kind of expedition along the length of the Great Barrier Reef, from Brisbane up to Cairns, 10 nights. And it focuses on two iconic species, turtles and rays. And again, with a maximum of 70 guests on board Coral Discoverer again, and with leading research experts on board. We will call on remote reefs, islands, and really significant wildlife habitats in the Coral Sea Marine Zone, as well as others. Katie is on our current iteration, I suppose, of the citizen science. She's deep in the Coral Sea, as you know. It's a slightly different itinerary than the one that's up on your screen here, but this departs in March next year, and obviously March in 2025, and it's a partnership that is really thrives, so Coral Expeditions and Australian Geographic. Along the way, you get hands-on experience with marine conservation at the Mont Repos Turtle Centre in Bundaberg. You'll connect with the Project Manta team in the protected green zone sanctuary on Lady Elliot Island. You get to participate, which is the kind of core of these trips, but participate in species surveys, on guided snorkeling sessions, which Katie will tell you more about, at John Brewer and the Ribbon Reefs, and travel with the community of conservation-minded explorers, and gain access to those kind of really remote atolls and reefs such as Orpheus, Middle Percy, and Heron Islands, and get to contribute to the conservation programs in the area. Particular highlights, and Katie will come onto it in a bit more detail. Working with dedicated marine scientists in coral reef studies at the oldest and largest marine research station on the GBR. You get to learn about the coral restoration programs and how corals are planted and rejuvenated across the GBR, which is increasingly important. One of my personal favorite highlights that you get to snorkel and dive John Brewer Reef, and it's home to the largest installation of underwater art, basically, the Museum of Underwater Art, which I'll hand over to you to talk a little bit more about, Katie. So over to you. So firstly, the Museum of Underwater Art, can you tell us a bit more about that? I've seen images as a scuba diver myself. It massively appeals. Is it something you've done and can talk about?
Yes, I actually did it the other day for my first ever time, and it is a serious bucket list experience. I actually got out, and I think that I have snorkeled and dived in so many places. And I got out and I was like, this is actually the best snorkel I've ever had in my life. It was just insane. Like, you get in the water and then you're seeing all these statues of people that are inspirational, and then I went to the right, and then all of a sudden all these fish were spawning, so they're all banging into each other in a big group, and then all this spawn and egg, like the sperm and egg, were coming out the top, like. And then I looked over and I saw a swim through, and then a tawny nurse shark came and swam out of the swim through and swam right underneath me. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And the coral was insane. There was fish everywhere. I've never seen so many fish. It's like a fish aggregation site. So there was just fish everywhere. And I was like beside myself. And then for lunch, we went for a dive. And so we got to actually do the Museum of Underwater Art and go through all the deep dive stuff as well. And that was just, it's something that you'll never ever do again in your life. And then to top it off, I'm like, something amazing always happens every time I go in the water, and I'm like, what's it going to be today? And then all of a sudden we had a male and female cuttlefish do a little mating dance, and I was like, oh my gosh. So we got it all on film, and it was amazing. It was just such a cool day. And yeah, so that was definitely something that really exceeded my expectations. It's just great. Yeah,
and from what I've heard from kind of client feedback from previous trips there, it's an absolute highlight of one of these trips up the East Coast. So moving on to our next slide, the Mon Repos Turtle Centre. Katie, can you tell us a bit about that and what we do there?
Yeah, so that's actually a really, really rare thing to be able to do. And when I was, because I've lived on Heron Island for years on and off, it's kind of like my second home. But Cole Olympus used to come there, and I was just a girl doing turtle tours, and I learnt so much from him because he goes and does all the turtle research there, and he's the biggest fanatic on loggerheads. But so he actually runs the Mon Repos Centre, and then I think now his son Duncan's doing it as well, because he's sort of getting more into retiring. But yeah, it's such an exclusive thing to do because it books out so far in advance. You have it's just lucky to be able to be on this trip and be able to do it, because we'll book it for you and you just get to go. And it shouldn't be so busy either. But you get to learn a lot about turtles and their nesting and all of everything about turtles. So one of my favorite things to do.
Thank you very much. And then the old Project Manta team at Lady Elliot. What do we do there?
Oh, yeah. I've never been a Lady Elliot, and that is one of my biggest bucket list things I ever have to do in my life. And one of my really good friends, Jacinta Shackleton, worked there, and a lot of other Master Reef guides as well that are just amazing people. So, yeah, Project Manta, they actually tag the manta rays there, and they have stations set up so that they can sense them coming into the area, so they know how many are there. And we also, if you swim with a manta ray and you swim underneath it, you can take a photo of it, and if no one's ever seen that manta ray before, you can name that manta ray. Like I say, you can't take it home and put it in your pool, but you've got a manta ray that you can name, and it will be your manta ray. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. And Lady Elliot just sounds like the best place ever for just snorkeling. So, and you can go right off the beach as well, and there's snorkeling all around the place, so it should be epic. Just an amazing place to go there.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
moving on, Heron Island. I think, unless I'm wrong, this is a photo of you on the screen. So are you're a Heron Island aficionado?
Yeah, so I've been working on her, and that's pretty much my major school of working there. So I do all the tours on Heron, and oh, it's my true love. I think Heron Island is, if I could call that my home for the rest of my life, it would be amazing. But yeah, so I just keep going back and doing little stints here and there for them, whenever they need someone to fill in. But yeah, I worked there and lived there for 2 years, and just the wildlife there and the snorkeling. We've got 21 dive sites, and even just swimming in the marina. I get up in the morning every morning before work, go swim with a turtle in a shipwreck. There's fever rays will wake up in front of me, and I've got 40 rays swimming in front of me. Turtles everywhere. We got turtle cleaning stations, so that they just all go there to get the little fish cleaning their shells, and so they're just all sitting there mesmerized. Like the other day, I counted 14 turtles in one little tiny area. And then you can swim out. There's another turtle cleaning station. Then we got the heron bommy as well that we can swim out to, and that's we get a lot of manta rays there. But yeah, so many rays, different species of rays. And I think we even had a ray on heron that we discovered that's a non-spotted eagle ray that has only really been recorded there. So yeah, it's ray central, turtle central, get a few reef sharks and stuff. So yeah, there's so much to see there. And the birds as well. I don't know if everyone loves birds, but I'm a bird nerd, so I love birds. So yeah, lots of birds to see there as well.
Thanks, Katie. And
Right.
then moving on, so we're coming to the end of our prezos, but when we the coral restoration programs at on Daydream Island.
Yeah. So they've got a living reef there, and one of my friends works there as well. So she's another master reef guide, and yeah, you can go there, and there's this like rays and sharks and fish and everything in this living reef that one of my mates, Johnny Gaskell, built, and yeah, and there's also underwater observatories, so you can just go there and they'll do presentations and you can learn a lot. They've also got a little room where they've got tanks and little different displays that you can learn from. So it's very educational on Daydream, and yeah, obviously that's where I live. I live in the Whitsunday, so part there, part Heron. So yeah, you can go yeah, just experience the Whitsundays and all our beautiful islands just from shore. So yeah, I love it.
Thank you. So look, that brings us to the end of our presentation, guys. I know I've gone over the 45 minutes. Like I said at the beginning, a relatively brief overview of three pretty unique individual kind of trips. You can find a massive range of information direct off our website, guys. Okay, so feel free to jump onto your heart's content. You can email our service team on the Explorer email address. You can call our service team on the 1-800 number. You can get in contact with your preferred travel agent and they can do it on your behalf. But just to quickly move in, I've been inundated actually with quite a few questions coming in, so don't leave us quite yet, Katie. Those three itineraries we've just been, going over, very obviously are kind of, very marine focused, getting into the water, that type of thing around the scuba diving and the snorkeling. So diving wise, if any of you listening today, guys, are keen scuba divers, please make our service and reservation team or your travel agent aware of that at the time of booking, obviously, so we can ensure that we've got the correct equipment on board. Someone asked about snorkel gear and is it provided? The short answer is yes. At the beginning of each of these kind of marine focused trips, you'll be provided with your own snorkel and mask, and you will have it for the duration of the trip before please hand it back to us at the end. You also get a beach towel as well, so there's no need to include that in your packing unless you would like to. Just moving on, a couple of questions for you, Katie. Not an area of expertise, I don't know if it's for you, but underwater photography, I'm not sure if you can comment on that, so please don't feel obliged to. What I will say whilst Katie is thinking of her response is that, look, we at Coral Expeditions take loads of photos on your behalf with our own gear, and then we provide you those online to at the kind of conclusion of your trip. I believe most last nights of any of our trips, be that on the Barrier Reef or in the Kimberley and beyond, you have a night where there's a kind of photo presentation and photo sharing, but at the conclusion of every trip we supply some photos to you. Do you have any recommendations for the kind of underwater cameras, or is that not your area, Katie?
Yeah, well, I've just got a simple TG6, the new red cameras that are out from Olympus, and I only got that a few months ago, but oh my gosh, it's amazing. I love it. Or you can just use a simple GoPro as well, and then you can add all your housings and whatever else you want to add to them. But yeah, my TG6 has taken everything I ever wanted, so I'm loving it. It goes 15 meters, so if you're a diver, you might want to get a housing or something. I don't risk it and take mine diving. I just take it for the snorkeling because that's mainly what I do. I'm normally the snorkel guide. Yeah, but yeah, GoPros can go down a bit deeper, but yeah, that if you're just going to snorkel, that TG6 is a really good camera, and it's good on land as well. It takes really good scenery photos, portrait photos, all sorts of things. So yeah, it's a really good one. I recommend that.
Thank you. And then moving
And
swiftly
we
on.
do take photos for you.
Yeah, so yeah, we absolutely do, and you'll be inundated with photos at the end of any of your trips. Getting back to the Museum of Underwater Art, just someone wanted to clarify: is it viewable as a snorkeler?
Yeah, I didn't know that, but until we went there the other day. But there is actually new ones that are snorkel friendly. So they're only about 5 meters down. I think at a high tide. So they're quite easy to see. I think they're 5 to 8 meters. So it's not too far down. So you can actually just see them. I swam down and got my photo with them. So but I like free diving, but yeah, they're not far down at all. So and you can just see that easily from right next to a beautiful, beautiful coral wall of amazingness.
Thank you. And look, probably the final question before we go over time too much. It's a bit of a
Yep.
general question, so it's kind of, how long's a piece of string? But can you just give us an idea of, I suppose, the weather at this time of year? And I can see it's beautiful blue sky behind you now. And obviously there's a potential risk of cyclones. So give us a bit of an overview of what they can expect temperature wise, both in the water and outside.
Yeah, well, it's quite warm in the water, but I am a little cold baby, so I bring my wetsuit. But it just depends on you. A lot of people are not worrying about it and they're staying in the water for so long, but because it's my job to stay in the water and stay as long as I'm required, I make sure I bring my wetsuit just so I don't get cold. But you can just bring something simpler, like I've got a vest, I've got a thick rashie. You can get some good ones from some dive stores and just go in there and ask for some advice. If you're diving on board, we can provide you with a wetsuit, but and yeah, so and you can buy your stinger suits online, but on board. But I would recommend just getting your own one because you can get something just so comfortable for you, and then it can serve exactly your purpose.
Thank you. Look, guys, I'm going to wrap that up there. I don't want to take up too much of Katie's or your valuable time. Again, like I say, please reach out to us if you've got any kind of questions, queries, concerns. Have a little look on the website and peruse to your heart's content. There's some absolutely beautiful itineraries, particularly if you want to get, in and under the water. It's a beautiful part of Australia. A massive thank you to you, Katie. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to provide a little bit of kind of on the scene kind of commentary. I really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who's joined me today. We hopefully, for those of you who have booked on one of these free trips, you're going to have a fantastic time. For any of you out there who are just, considering your options, hopefully it's kind of got you excited about one, if not all of these different itineraries. And we hope to see you aboard soon. So thank you, Katie. Thank you to you guys, and have a great rest of your day.